Pivot to video. Pivot to video. That was like Learn to Code a couple of years ago. If you told journalists to pivot to video, you were basically like, you're a dinosaur. You need to get with the times. It was an insult. And now everybody is pivoting to video because websites have completely collapsed. And we're going to talk about it because there's a lot going on here. We've got this article coming from the Hollywood Reporter talking about how all these legacy media companies are trying to push into YouTube and podcasts. And then we've got CNN waiting for the other shoe to drop because Barry Weiss will probably be put in charge of CNN, and they're stressing out over it. And she's pushing for everyone to go into like podcast style commentary. And they tried doing that on CNN. They were doing those like really budget cut podcasts where they're streaming from their offices. Do you remember that?
Right. But I mean, it's not just them though. Like across the board, they keep trying to, since they're losing to places like YouTube, they're all trying to suddenly, let's pivot that way. But if they wanted to watch you, they would have watched you.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you're trying to get away from somebody and then they move in next door and then you move again and then they move next door again,
It's that they won't leave. It's like civil and female.
Won't leave. Like, can you not take a hint? I don't want to live next to you. Yeah, no, that's just it. The audience has moved on. They moved to YouTube because they want different voices. And now the mainstream media wants to follow them wherever they go because they are desperate to stay in business.
Basically.
So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Go out to more.clownfishtv.com. That's moreclownfishtv.com for more episodes you will not find here on YouTube. Because we're going to move in right next to you. You can't escape us. You can go out to the audio version of Clownfish TV. That'd be on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just look for Clownfish TV podcasts. And we have been following the great media collapse. Basically, everything has collapsed over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, but the problem is because they are losing their lunch, they want yours. And so as we're seeing this go down, they the answer is to come in and take from everybody else, which is why we see the BBC is trying to force their way into being featured at YouTube in the UK.
Yes.
And we have people at other Hollywood networks and stuff are trying to sign deals with YouTube that they get boosted and promoted, and they're going to promote those who pay or their darlings above everybody else. So if they're gonna willing to give it to YouTube or pay to play, they're gonna get boosted above everyone else anyway because they're so desperate, thinking they're losing. The problem is it doesn't mean people are gonna watch it because they didn't watch it before.
Right. So we'll talk about that because all of these things are related. Like I said, we actually talked about at length on more.clownfishtv.com. If you want to watch that episode, the BBC is basically going to try to use the government to force you to watch their content, to have it surfaced over creator content. Mm-hmm. And, now we know that YouTube, the new CEO, Neil Mohan, is signing all kinds of deals with Hollywood. Mm-hmm. He wants Hollywood.
He loves it. They're kissing his ass.
They're kissing his ass because it's the biggest game in town, right? And they're trying to basically reposition YouTube, I think, as a Netflix competitor. They're saying that's not the case, but that's absolutely the case. That's absolutely what's going on. So yeah, everybody's kind of tripping over themselves trying to get on YouTube. We'll talk about Ms. Now, MSN. They're signing a deal with a third party, which is weird, to get on YouTube. Meanwhile, some guy in his basement can just start a YouTube account and post.
If you're failing, your network's failing on its own, and you have all that marketing money behind you, and you had people's attention and everything else, and you're failing on your own, it's because of you. And no matter how much effort you go to YouTube, people still aren't going to watch you. They're still going to go find the people they trust and not watch you. If they try to force it on you, people still aren't going to watch it.
Finally, the media is pivoting to video. The infamous pivot to video in the 2010s was a disaster for publishers. They said that back then they were too early. They said the scars of that mistake still linger in newsrooms, magazines, and digital media outlets everywhere, like the splatter of the watermelon that BuzzFeed exploded by constricting it with rubber bands.
To be fair, though, we've always been ahead on stuff, too, and you can literally get into something too early, and it bites you in the ass. We know this because we were ahead of the curve on so many things, and then it bit us in the ass.
Yeah, I think, we have been. And then you jump out of it because you're like, well, it's not a viable business. You jump out of it. Other people come in later. they figure out how to make money, and then you look like an also ran.
No, I think at that point it's just more accepted.
Yeah. The outlets that got hosed in the shift weren't making a mistake. They were just too early to the game and had become too compliant to the tech platforms that had been feeding them audiences for years. You had to pay to play, though. The same thing's happening on YouTube, though. You're going to have to pay to play. They're going to grease YouTube's palms. And that's how all these mainstream media outlets are going to get boosted above people like us. That's just how it works. This week, New York Times executive editor Joe Kahn appeared on Peter Kafka's Channel's podcast, where he framed the outlet's rush into video as a race against time and as a big transformation, as the print to digital transformation. Basically, Google destroyed websites. Maybe this was part of the plan. They destroyed websites with the stupid AI snippets, and now they're all going to YouTube, which is owned by Google. And then Google's going to make ad money off of them. So, I mean, all these things are kind of intermingled here. But yeah, they said the New York Times is desperately trying to get on the video. They said video has been the dominant form of media for decades. It's just that until now, it was defined by the form factor TV screens. But 2026 isn't 2015. All video can be TV now. The floodgates are open. Where have you been?
No, wait. But here's the thing: is all video can be TV now because YouTube dominates TV viewership. So took all these creators and all their work years, all right, to build up that people wanted to watch it, and it made them win with TV viewership. And now that you all did the hard work, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen this shit go down across, web comics, across, comics in general, across this YouTube, different things where people, worked really hard, built the entire structure. And then after it's built, the people that mocked them and made fun of them, now they want the platform and they swoop in to try to take it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen this.
And they're also talking about Facebook, because Facebook, they quietly made a change to Facebook. If you're wondering why your posts on your pages or whatever don't get seen anymore, it's because you got to post video, you got to post reels specifically, and you got to pay. You got to pay to get seen.
It's ridiculous though, because when you try to go to Facebook and see what everybody's doing, and that it's just inundated with videos. Autoplay and everything else.
I don't even know what the hell I'm looking at on Facebook. Like, I go to Facebook, I don't even know what I'm looking at. There's like Facebook is like 50. It's like MySpace all over again. It's like 15 different apps kind of duct taped together.
Well, but it's gotten much worse in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed, or month or so. It's gotten a lot worse.
Yeah, it really has. Like, it's almost unusable. Like, I hate Facebook now. Messenger is about the only thing I use, but even that is getting junked up with shit now. And a lot of it's the stupid AI they're putting into it. Now they're injecting AI into Instagram too. So good luck with that. We'll see how that works. Instagram works better than Facebook. They said the results, a raw stream of thought videos, strange experiments, cooking videos. Ultimately, of course, the promised audience never arrived. Okay, so basically, they turned on video. They started making video for Facebook, but the audience didn't stick around. 2026 is not 2016. Nielsen reports from that era consistently showed that the preferred form of media in 2016 was video, but in 2016, the video consumption overwhelmingly happened on TV. Well, yeah, because it wasn't
the shift. Broadcast TV, but now that video consumption is happening on TVs because it's either via like YouTube or other streaming platforms now have like channels dedicated to just shows that were on YouTube or whatever, podcasts and things playing. So yeah, of course it is. This is no surprise. If you've been watching anything, then it's like, why is a Hollywood Reporter so slow to talk about it?
Well, probably because they're going to pivot to video because nobody's reading the Hollywood Reporter.
They're like, oh my God, we had a brilliant idea, guys.
We had a brilliant idea 10 years ago, and then we didn't do it because it didn't pay because it was a mess. And back then, you really couldn't monetize video. People forget when YouTube first started, there was no monetization. People uploaded, and that's why we had like, I guess I'd say like pure YouTube where people just uploaded clips and stuff and because they wanted to, and it was fun for them, and then it became a business. And then once it becomes a business, you get big business involved. Once the money's good. At first, it was like a couple bucks here, a couple bucks there. But once it became like a massive revenue driver, and I do think guys like Mr. Beast definitely kind of sign the death certificate on old YouTube, because these companies now are looking at like, oh, well, Mr. Beast, one guy, even though he's a company technically, but that one guy can make all that money. Just think about how much money we could make if we threw even more money at YouTube,
Right.
and bought off YouTube. So let's stroll a bomb here. They're basically like, we told you so, which, you know, I can appreciate because we.
Well, they
tell you
don't
so
think
all
you
the
told you
time.
so, but they didn't tell you so because they're all trying to jump on it now too. But anyway,
They said, yeah, when a viewer is streaming Megyn Kelly on their TV, it may be coming at the expense of Fox News. When someone chooses to watch Bon Appetit's YouTube channel, it comes at the expense of Food Network.
thing is, they wanted to watch those networks, they would. They don't.
Right. They're talking about Ms. Rachel. She's not going to last, I don't think. She's too political. Mr. Beast's high-stake games come at the expense of shows on ABC. And now they said, yes, reports from the New York Times on video could replace journalism from CNN. And we're going to get to CNN. We're going to get there.
Replacing journalism from CNN. That's why they were so pissed, because like during the last election, people were tuning into YouTubers than they were the mainstream media, because the YouTubers were being more honest about stuff than they were.
That's also why, okay, this is where we're going to start talking about the news channels, because this is, and you're going to see how the palms are greased. That's also why TV channels like MS Now, which was MSNBC, are inking deals for YouTube shows from the likes of Crooked Media. Well, would you trust a company called Crooked Media?
Is that what it's actually called?
It's called Crooked Media, yes.
I mean, first of all, if you trust MS Now, you got some issues, but that's all.
But they're teaming up with Crooked Media. Okay, I'm also like, you don't have the production capabilities to make a YouTube show yourself when literally a guy in his basement with a microphone and a webcam can do it.
It's not about that. It's about no one wants to hear what you have to say, and going to YouTube isn't going to change that. Like they're under the impression that everybody's going there, so we'll go there too. They didn't want to hear what you had to say, which is why they went to YouTube to begin with. If you come in there, they're still not going to listen to you.
They will not compete fairly. They will cut deals with YouTube, advertising deals, and then YouTube will boost them, because we've seen
But that's still, even if you're boosted, people don't have to actually watch the video.
No, but what they'll do is they'll have it like appear above your search results, or they'll autoplay. Like I said before, we had that Oliver guy, whatever, last week tonight. He would autoplay after almost all of our videos. I'm like, why? There's no audience crossover from us to him, but he's mainstream media, right? So it was very weird. It was a very weird thing, and it happened for weeks, and then it stopped. So I'm like, did they have a deal? Because they advertise. It's part of HBO. It said Netflix is picking up short-form programming from the likes of People Inc. and, yes, The Hollywood Reporter. So, yeah. And they have dedicated streaming channels and all this shit. Like, if you got the Roku, too, they all have their own, like, oh, here's the Vice network, so you can watch Vice.
I don't think anybody's watching it, though. Because, again, you wouldn't be failing so miserably if people wanted to hear what you had to say.
But they're like, oh, the end of reading is here, so we're all going to get dumber. But
people are just getting dumber in general. I mean, the stuff I see people write, I'm just like, ow, that hurts. Just trying to understand what you're posting hurts.
So Barry Weiss, this is what they're afraid of too. Barry Weiss came into CBS News, and she really rocked the boat. And her background is pretty unorthodox. She did work at the New York Times. She left because she thought they were too far left, even though she's a gay Jewish woman. She thought they were too far left, so that tells you something. And she went to Substack, and she started doing podcasts, and she blew up over there. And then Paramount brought her in to run CBS News, and she's been firing people, and it's chaos. It's absolute chaos, because the old guard doesn't want to do what she wants. They don't want to respect her authority, whatever the deal is. And basically, this is like, we're seeing this come to a head with the new media versus legacy media. And she's probably going to be in charge over at CNN too, or at least they're going to shake CNN up. And she's pushing for podcasts and videos, like short, like pushing out onto YouTube and stuff. So I have to wonder, like, at some point in time, will the networks themselves not even really exist? Will it just be content producers, news content producers, and then they just put the stuff on YouTube or put it on like a streaming channel or something on Roku, and they don't need to actually run the broadcast channel anymore, because
that's probably where it's going. But like I said, again, if just because they have this in their head that if they go there, if they come to YouTube, that they're suddenly going to be big again. And that's the reason that YouTube people are beating you, is because people didn't want to hear what you had to say. And I keep saying that over and over again, because I can't understand how else to explain it to them. It doesn't matter if you come over to this other platform. short of having other people kicked off. And even then, they'll just go someplace else and people will follow them to wherever they go.
Yeah, that's why everybody's kind of like, hey, you need a backup for YouTube, like Odyssey or Rumble. And I don't know. I mean, this might actually push people away from YouTube if it's all flooded with all the mainstream crap that they've been trying to get away from.
Mm-hmm. So when their fellow kids start coming in, everybody's going to bail.
It's like exactly. Like if I wanted to watch TV, it's right over there. I can watch TV, right? I'm on YouTube, and it was I think even more pronounced the division between YouTube and television a couple of years ago, because people have to go on their computer or on their phone or something to watch YouTube. But it's like, I'm on YouTube because I don't want to watch TV. I want different opinions. I want people to tell me what they think, and not be at the whims of the advertisers or the government or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now that we're going to lose that. And I think
it doesn't matter in the UK. They're going to try to push laws to make sure the BBC still showing above people anyway.
I think it's already happening here. It's just it's not a law. It's money.
Yes, we've been telling you this.
Yeah, so it's definitely going to change. I don't think it's going to change for the better. But apparently, CNN's losing sleep over the Paramount acquisition here. So CEO Mark Thompson admitted to his staff he can't even shake the tension gripping the network as the takeover is looming. He says, "I swear to God, I go home and try to relax, and I can still feel the tension in the room because I'm in the room and I'm no different from anyone else." Because they know they're gone. You
know what? That's funny. My mom used to say this thing that when she was going through menopause, she was just like upset and angry at everything. So she and I'd even go into the closet and shut the door, but then I'd still be upset because I was still in there with me. And it was like, that's what that reminds me of.
He's basically saying, hey, we're probably going to get fired. A lot of us are going to get fired. They're already, though, CNN, it was kind of laughable, really. They were trying to do that podcast style format where they were just kind of all sitting in their offices with a bunch of tchotchkes on their desk, like somebody streaming out of the basement. And then they were going to chop it up into clips, because I think they all know this is what's coming, because the Ellisons are going to be like cheap, cheap, cheap.
I don't know. Call me crazy, but maybe you do better if you just report on the news without too much bias.
What?
I mean, if you just tried to be fair and balanced and just report the news, I don't know. People might listen to you more.
That's crazy. That's crazy talk. How very dare. Well, whose news? Whose truth are we reporting?
Well, how about the truth? You know what I mean? And then people would be like, maybe they'd be more willing to listen to you. Just, throwing it out there.
Crazy idea. But there we go, guys. They're coming. They're probably going to push people like us out. That's okay. You can go listen to the audio version. Listen to the audio version of Clownfish TV. They're coming over there too, though. They're coming in the podcast space too.
But you know what? Nobody puts geeky in a corner, so I'll find a way.
Sometimes I do.
Nature finds a way.
And sometimes nature finds a way. Yeah.
Sometimes you do too, right?
I do. Yeah.
Sorry.
Are we gonna wrap this up?
Yes.
Police. See, you're not gonna see this on CNN. Because whoever said that on CNN, if it was like one anchor to the other anchor, be like, that guy's getting arrested. What's he talking about?
That's harassment.
Harassment. All right. So please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.